I've been commissioned by Space Studios in London to make a new piece of work which is called YEAST, which is a reenactment or a revisiting of a medieval story in which a rooster got tried for the unnatural and heinous crime of laying an egg. I studied originally sculpture at Camberwell College in London, then I moved up to Glasgow to do an MFA up there. One of the problems I had with sculpture was how we engage with them and how we look at them and what we're supposed to do with them, and the kind of the static stoic form. I think object making in a traditional sense, which is how I was thinking about it, as in sculpture on top of a plinth, has kind of become depoliticized in a way. It's lost its kind of political voice. Is it alright for something to just look good? Like, it's looking nice enough. That's why I started performing with them, is to try to animate these sculptures, try to kind of goad them into start moving. The videos I made were, I guess, like the first sort of attempt to just move away from like a studio-based practice and just explore things with my body. In a sense, it's a mode of sculpture. It's just veering away from like using wood or clay. It's using your body in like the gradient of a hill or the kind of molehills that arise in like a field. I like to dance a lot, but I was really aware that when you kind of, when you're letting loose, the way you pose and the way you posture, they're all kind of inherited, and there was nothing that was innately you. And I was interested in the idea of choreographing and embodying somebody else for a moment. I began to objectify myself. I think I wanted to put myself, or at least to put the performer, at the kind of bottom of like kind of, right, you are just a body, you are a vessel. So the puppet was a really kind of easy and obvious metaphor for that. Like, you are a body or an entity that has been moved by a force external to you, not just a physical sense, but like a cultural sense of like how you formulate your opinions, your desires, your taste, how you dance.
100% polyester. This is so real, feeling stuff and things. I'm so
Specific
real.
Emotions is a work in which I formed a pop group. We wrote a song, we shot a music video together, and we cut a series of limited edition dub plates. The band is called Above Average Effect, which is another term for illusory superiority, which is like a psychological bias in which a person completely overestimates their own abilities. So like a complete form of self-delusion. The song, which is called Specific Emotions, and the video are essentially like a research for meaning. This duo would travel up this mountain to find this feeling and this specific emotion, but instead of being confronted by the awe of nature and God, they're presented with another version of themselves, this other body and this void. And that's why there's a kind of like somber or like melancholic ending, like where the mirror's been pulled down and like the illusions disappeared. I guess I think a lot about the shift of meaning from God and religion to like consumerism and capitalism, and how a self and therefore meaning is generated through that process of consumption. So that's kind of what the pop song is. It's a form of consuming oneself, one's desires or fantasies, like in a really egotistical way through the reproduction of your own image. YEAST is a film that I'm making that is revisiting these animal trials, in particular the trial of the rooster of Basel in 1474. So animal trials occurred throughout sort of the Middle Ages in Europe. In this instance where the rooster laid an egg, it was seen that the egg would have a mythical creature inside it that would kill humans with a glare. So we're shooting the film in an old suit factory, which is just outside of Amsterdam, which is where I have a studio. It has this combination of a post-industrialized society and also this kind of medieval aesthetic kind of merged together. So it has a kind of, it's like a science fiction element about it. The majority of it is going to be a silent film, and I'm working with a music producer called Dan Woolhouse, who is going to produce a score for it. And the idea that the score is going to be symbiotic with the imagery and the movement. As the kind of narrative unfolds within the film, the music gets more and more intense and kind of builds up to the point where there's a kind of crescendo or climax. Within the film, these courts have been established in these old soup factories that have one form of punishment no matter what the crime, which is to be turned into soup and fed to like the local populace. There's the defence lawyer, who is the rooster's owner. There's the rooster, there's the judge, and there's the chef or executioner. The chef is kind of preparing this soup as the kind of trial goes on, almost kind of threatening the rooster and enticing the defendant. All the people within the court suffer from gout because they've been eating this kind of viscous soup. The physical distortion is like a manifestation of their like kind of their greed and their kind of desire to kind of consume. The defendant, who is the owner of the rooster, eventually confesses on the rooster's behalf just so he can eat the soup. His moral and seemingly kind of self-determined traits as a human have been overridden by his animal instincts. We've asked Alexander Plaszkowski, who's a university professor at Reading, specialises in archaeology and medieval history, to write a text accompanying the show. He has a particular interest in the role of animals and humans in medieval times. The sort of cultural climate surrounding the trials, it's like resurfacing now, or like it feels like there's a contemporary equivalent of that, the hysteria and the fear. Those two emotions or those two feelings, I guess, feel quite prominent. Also, as part of the Space Commission, we're publishing images in a local newspaper, the Hackney Citizen. There'll be a series of images that are kind of adapted or taken from bestiaries, which are medieval stories that often address the kind of relationship or boundaries between humans and animals. I like the idea of them just kind of filtering out into kind of the public consciousness in a way to kind of generate that type of hysteria or that type of kind of panic that you get from medieval times of the trials themselves.